Hello, everyone. We are going to address the very new wheelchair users. So, if you are just got a wheelchair, you're working on it, you're working on your skills, but you're still frustrated, this video is for you. So, let's talk about power wheelchairs first. Power wheelchairs, if this power wheelchair was donated to you, and it doesn't quite feel right, which is really important for your back and your legs, not for it not to cause pain. You need to be comfortable. So think about, first of all, your seating position to see if your legs are in a comfortable position. If your seated area is comfortable, sometimes we need a cushion, especially those of us who have a lot of pain. Cushions are really important and really help us reduce that pain, especially if you're traveling in a van or some other vehicle that hit potholes. That hurts a lot. So cushions can soften those bumps. So you really need to figure out if the arms and the seat and the footrest are in good positions for you. If you feel uncomfortable, check and see what is it. Figure it out. If it was donated, and you need some adjustments, if you can do the adjustments in your home, great, and have somebody help you, awesome. But if you need to take it to a garage, then do so, but you might have to pay a fee for them to assess the wheelchair, assess you, assess your sitting position, and making sure that you are comfortable. So just know that if it's a donated wheelchair, you'll have to pay if you take it to a garage to get it adjusted. The other thing is, if you just got your power wheelchair through your therapist or through the company that the therapist recommended, and there's still something that's not quite right, that's okay. It's good for you to notice early. So let your therapist know. Just make a note, make a post-it note for yourself so you don't forget when you go to see the therapist next, or send her a message or him a message and saying, hey, this doesn't feel right. I know that day we adjusted it XYZ form, but it's not feeling quite right yet. So sometimes you have to give it a little bit of time to get used to it. But if it's still feeling uncomfortable, it's causing pain, it's causing you to bump around, or you're irritating some part of your skin, then it's important to say something so they can make an adjustment or a change that you need. So don't be afraid to do that. Let's see. So yes, armrest, your seat, and your foot plate are going to be the most important areas for you to kind of sit and just see how it feels and what doesn't feel right. Sometimes the armrest can be too high, which will cause pain in your shoulders. Sometimes it might be too low. So you just gotta wiggle around and see what feels off, and then make a note of it and see if, the arms in my wheelchair are pretty easy to adjust on my own. I just had a weird experience in which I was adjusting one of my arms, and I just took the arm completely off, and then the screw fell inside the tubing, the metal tubing, and I couldn't get the screw out. So I had to have the company come out and really dig in there and get the screw out so we could put the arm back on. So just one of those goofy things. So just know that your wheelchair doesn't bite. If you see that it's easy enough for you to make the adjustment on your own, feel free. Otherwise, call your therapist, if this is insurance covered, to make those adjustments, because you want to feel comfortable. You're going to be in this chair hours in and hours out, so you want to make sure that you're feeling okay with how it was put together. Let's see, manual wheelchairs. I don't use manual wheelchairs all the time. I use them just from time to time. But these are the observations I can make. In a manual wheelchair, it's really important to make sure it fits you, that it is comfortable, Hopefully, it is a lightweight manual wheelchair. The most common wheelchairs we have out there are the medical ones, and the medical ones are very heavy. So if you're at home and you are just hurting your arms, well, it's because you're carrying your weight and the weight of the medical wheelchair. And the medical wheelchair is just the ordinary wheelchairs that we see in hospitals and clinics. They're metal. They just have that cloth seat, and they're uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable. They're not made for long-term use. They're not made to sit in them all day. So just so you know, oh yeah, I do have a medical wheelchair, and I'll put up some pictures of the different wheelchairs. So here's a picture of a medical wheelchair. These medical wheelchairs weigh anywhere between 30 to 50 pounds, sometimes more. They're made in a very sturdy way, so that's why they weigh so much. They're medical. You use them just temporarily, and then you're done. So they're not made for long-term use. Then we have the lightweight manual wheelchairs, the sports lightweight manual wheelchairs, either the folding or the rigid. So we have two types there. So I'm going to put those up here. So here's one, here's the other. All right. So those are lightweight and easier to maneuver around. So on these, if you're frustrated because your arms are hurting, you really have to get used to it. You really have to do your practice. And don't strain your arms, Give yourself a break. Don't overdo it. You don't want to strain the muscles in which you just can't use it because you pulled a muscle. You just got to get used to it little by little. Do those strokes on the push handles correctly so you don't injure your shoulders. So that's really important. I use some gloves. There we go. I use some gloves here, and you've seen me show these before. These have rubber in the palm, so it gives me an extra boost. Helps me hold on to those push handles. The rubber covers for the push handles are pretty expensive, and the gloves, these are bike gloves that I get that are more financially feasible for me. So these are the half fingers that you can use, and they have the rubber on the palm. So these are super helpful. It helps me, reduce the straining of my arms and shoulders. So try those. I got those on Amazon. Amazon is not paying me for this commercial. So check them out on Amazon. Some bike gloves that you would like to try, and that will give you a little bit more oomph, will help you reduce the strain of constantly propelling yourself. Let me see. You also have to make sure on the manual wheelchairs that it feels comfortable, that the foot plate is in the right position. Hopefully your wheelchair can be adjusted. Some are just made to tailor to you, so you can't adjust it once it's made. So there are some that are made tailored to a particular person, to their size, and they cannot be adjusted. Other lightweight, small manual wheelchairs can be adjusted. The footrest can be adjusted. The armrest can be taken off or put it back on. And the seat, in some cases, can be adjusted. So if you got through insurance or through your therapist, then check with them. Just say, hey, the seat doesn't feel quite right, or my backrest, doesn't quite feel right. So, and just see what is irritating to you. You could use a cushion with it, although usually these manual wheelchairs come with a cushion. So just see if the cushion is okay for you, or if you need something thicker or a different shape. So let your therapist know. The footrest, your legs should not be hurting or feel strained. So if the footrest is too far down or too far up, you need to check with your therapist or go to a garage so they can adjust it. Make it longer, make it shorter. You need to, when you're looking at getting a lightweight manual wheelchair, you need to check and see what a healthy position is going to be for you. If it's 90-degree position, if it's an 85% angle for your footrest. So that's a conversation you need to have with your therapist and check and see what's going to be healthy for you, because we're all different. We're all shaped differently in terms of our backs, our knees, and all that kind of stuff. So, and our heights. I'm kind of a small person, so everything that I do is for small. so, which is good, important. The question of armrests or no armrests. In my case, I prefer, because I already have experience, I prefer no armrest. I feel like they're in the way. I want to have that freedom to be able to move and reach and not bump myself on the armrest constantly. But if you have balance issues and you need to feel that armrest when you're sitting down, perhaps that might be for you. When you don't have armrest and you put your hand on the seat when you're transferring instead of the armrest. For the manual wheelchair, also check the wheels and see if they're heavy, too heavy. There are some solid wheels that weigh about 1 pound, maximum 2 pounds. So you want to check that too. The armrests, you probably want to make sure that they can be removed or moved out of the way so you can do a comfortable transfer. You got to remember not to stand on your footrest. I know that's a temptation. We forget about it. But when you're transferring, you got to get your feet off of that footrest, because otherwise the wheelchair is going to go flying. It's going to tip over either, so that's going to cause some issues. So be careful with your footrest. Make sure you have your feet off of that footrest when you're transferring. And I know it's irritating. You're kind of thinking about a whole bunch of things, where you put your hands, the good moment to transfer, all of that. But you just take your time. There's no emergency, okay? Sometimes there might be an emergency if you have to go to the bathroom, but but as you practice, as you do this over and over again, it's going to get easier, trust me. So don't get overly frustrated or angry. Just take it one day at a time. Practice. That's all I can say. Don't try to strain if you feel like your arms are just tired and you can't do it anymore. Just transfer into a comfortable chair and rest. That's what I do. I can't sit for long hours because of my spine, so I take a break in the morning. I take 2 breaks in the afternoon. In the evening, I'm out on my power wheelchair. I just can't do it anymore, and I have to stretch out. So each person is different. The power wheelchair or the manual wheelchair should not feel uncomfortable, should not cause you pain. So if that's happening, then you got to do a revision. You got to make some adjustments, and you're the only one who knows because you're in the chair. So just make some notes as you're going along, okay? So for both manual and power wheelchair, it's important to keep them clean. You're going to be touching them constantly, and other people might be touching it too to move it out of the way or whatever. And in this time of COVID, although we're doing much, much better, it's still important to clean it. So I clean my power wheelchair anytime I've gone into a clinic, or I clean it before I go into the clinic, and then I clean it once I'm out of the clinic. And what else? And then I just kind of clean it once a week or once every other week. I take a damp rag and some Dove. I have another video on that, on how to clean your power wheelchair, especially power wheelchairs, because we have a motor, we have moving parts, so we want to make sure we stay away from the motor and we don't get any water in there, because our power wheelchairs are not waterproof. So, and the person who donated the chair to you hopefully said that, and hopefully your therapist warned you that your power wheelchair needs some care in terms of making sure it stays clean and making sure you don't get it wet and how to prevent. So I have quite a few videos on that. So check on cleaning your power wheelchair. Cleaning your manual wheelchair is a little bit easier because the manual wheelchair, of course, doesn't have any motor to it unless you have an attachment on it. But otherwise, the manual wheelchair does not have motors on it, and you don't have to worry about that. But so you can use a cleaner, hopefully a soft cleaner that won't irritate the paint on it. And you need to make sure you just kind of, with a damp cloth, go over your cushion and then leave it out to dry. In some cases, you can wash the covers of the cushions, but not always. So you need to check that. Otherwise, take it one day at a time. Don't strain or, damage your muscles early in the process, because then, you're going to get really frustrated. Do easy practices at the beginning. You got to build up muscle. You got to build up endurance, and you got to build up patience to get around. I saw in the hospital the other day, I was there for my own appointments for a PT, and this gal had just gotten out of the hospital, and she was racing with her new manual wheelchair. She was racing down the hall. I don't know how many miles per hour she was doing, but she was going really fast, and she was aiming at me. So I just cringed and didn't move, and I was hoping she'd be able to stop before she ran into me, but she was able to slam on and slow down on her wheeling. And she had picked up some gloves she found on the floor. She was really happy, excited, because she was out of the hospital and had a new manual wheelchair. It was used, but for her it was new, and she was just having a blast. So she did a couple of spins around on the floor and everything. So it was great to see that. Hopefully, just know that you just take it one day at a time. Prevent any injuries to your ligaments, so don't strain. Just practice gently, take more rests in the beginning, and as this gets easier, it'll be better for you. So don't worry, things do get easier. For power wheelchairs, if you're bumping into things and you're, tearing your hair out, sometimes it helps to slow down on the speed. So look at your speed dial and turn it down, okay? So at the very beginning, it really helps to go really slow as you get used to the speed, your space, walls, chairs, tables, people. So do keep the speed down. Once you start feeling comfortable, then you can start turning the speed up, and you'll do fine. So the slowing down means that's going to help you not to run into walls, not to bump into chairs or tables and scratch things or scratch your power wheelchair. So just going slow at the beginning is fine. This is not a race. It's not a competition. It's just you in the chair, and it's important for you just to get used to it. So start slow and then turn the dial up as you start getting used to, maneuvering around. All right, so I'm hoping this will be helpful for the beginners who are using wheelchairs, power or manual wheelchairs. If you have any questions or any concerns, feel free to post it down below. If you have other tips for new wheelchair users, feel free to post that down below. All right. If you are new to my channel, my name is Lisa, and this is Power Wheelchairs for Success. If you find this video helpful for you, it might be helpful for somebody else. So liking a video will help it spread further so other people can see it and take advantage of it. If you would like to see other videos and come back and all that kind of stuff, and you feel like, oh yeah, this channel might be helpful for me as I continue learning, then feel free to subscribe. I post at least 1 or 2 videos per week, just depends on how I'm doing, because I have my own conditions that I work through. So I usually post for the weekend, and I usually post before the weekends. I'm posting on Tuesday because I didn't post anything on Monday, which I usually do, but I was at the doctor and I PT, and then I was wiped out when I got home. So you will understand that if you've been in PT at all. So welcome to my channel. Come back again, visit us, and place your questions, your tips, your comments, and subscribe and stick around. Take care.